It was a rainy Monday morning when Daniel, a single dad in his 30s, straightened his tie and glanced at his daughter's photo tucked in his wallet. He had been waiting months for this interview, the chance to finally land a stable job at a well-known company. His little girl was counting on him, and he wasn't going to let her down. On his way downtown, just as he rehearsed his answers in his head, he spotted a car stranded on the shoulder. A woman stood outside in the rain, frustrated, staring at a flat tire. Daniel slowed down, torn for a moment. He knew he didn't have time to spare. If he stopped, he risked being late or missing the interview entirely. But then he thought of his daughter. Do the right thing, no matter what, he had always taught her. He couldn't just drive past. Daniel pulled over, stepped out into the rain, and offered to help. The woman, sharply dressed in a blazer, looked surprised but grateful. Within minutes, Daniel had the tire changed, his hands covered in grease and rain. "Thank you," the woman said, handing him her card. "If there's ever anything I can do for you, let me know." Daniel just smiled. "No need, just glad you're safe." He rushed back into his car, realizing he was already 20 minutes late by the time he arrived at the company headquarters. The receptionist shook her head. "I'm sorry, sir. The interviews are over." Defeated, Daniel went home. He didn't tell his daughter the truth. He just said maybe it wasn't meant to be. The next day, however, his phone rang. "Mr. Daniels, this is the CEO of Evergreen Industries. I'd like to invite you for a personal meeting today." Confused but hopeful, Daniel arrived at the office and nearly froze in shock. Sitting behind the massive desk was the same woman he had helped on the roadside. She smiled warmly. "You gave up your chance to help a stranger in the rain. That tells me more about your character than any interview could. Welcome to the team." Daniel sat there speechless, his heart pounding. All he could think was how proud his daughter would be when he told her the news. Daniel Carter tightened his tie in the cracked bathroom mirror of his small apartment. His 9-year-old daughter, Emma, leaned against the doorframe, swinging her backpack back and forth. "Daddy, you look nervous," she teased with a grin. "I'm not nervous," Daniel replied, forcing a smile. "Just focused. Today's a big day." Emma tilted her head. "You're gonna get the job? I just know it." Her words filled him with warmth. He had been a single dad for 5 years, ever since his wife passed away. Every move he made now was for Emma to give her the life she deserved. By 8 a.m., Daniel was on the road, rehearsing interview answers in his head. Strengths: I don't give up. Weaknesses: sometimes I care too much. Goals: provide stability for my daughter. Then, on a quiet stretch of highway, he spotted a sleek black sedan parked on the shoulder. A woman stood beside it, staring at a flat tire, her heels sinking into the damp asphalt. Daniel slowed. "I can't. Not today. I'll miss the interview." He glanced at the dashboard clock. He had 25 minutes. If everything went perfectly, he could still make it. But as he drove past, Emma's voice echoed in his head. "Do the right thing, Daddy." With a sigh, Daniel pulled over and backed up. "Need a hand?" he called out. The woman looked up, rain dripping from her dark hair. She looked sharp, commanding even, but frustrated. Yes. I've been waiting 30 minutes for roadside assistance." They said another hour. Daniel rolled up his sleeves. "No need to wait. I'll get you back on the road." The rain soaked his shirt as he worked the jack and loosened the bolts. The woman stood by, watching with curious eyes. "You didn't have to stop," she said. "Most people just drive by." Daniel grunted as he tightened the spare. Most people aren't raising a little girl who thinks her dad is a superhero. Had to keep the streak alive. That earned him a laugh. A genuine one. Minutes later, he lowered the car and wiped his hands on his trousers. "All set. Should hold until you get it properly fixed." The woman handed him a business card. "Thank you. If there's ever anything I can do." Daniel waved it off. "Don't worry about it. Just drive safe." He rushed back to his car, When he reached the company headquarters, the receptionist frowned. "Sir, the interviews ended 15 minutes ago." His stomach sank. "Please, I'm sorry," she said firmly. "We've filled the slots." Defeated, Daniel drove home. He sat with Emma that evening, helping with homework, pretending nothing was wrong. She chattered happily, and he forced himself to smile. The next morning, his phone rang. "Mr. Carter," a crisp voice said. "This is Catherine Hayes, CEO of Evergreen Industries. I'd like to invite you to my office." Confused, Daniel arrived in his best suit. The secretary led him into a spacious office with floor-to-ceiling windows. Sitting behind the desk was the same woman from the roadside. She stood, smiling. "Mr. Carter, we meet again." His jaw dropped. "You're the CEO," she finished. "Yesterday, you gave up your chance at an interview to help a stranger. That told me more about your character than any resume. I want people like you in my company." Daniel blinked, speechless. "But I didn't even. You already passed the real test," Catherine said. She extended her hand. "Welcome aboard." Daniel shook it, heart pounding. He thought of Emma's smile, her faith in him. For the first time in years, he felt the weight on his shoulders begin to lift. Daniel Carter's day had started like any other, a small breakfast with Emma, double-checking homework, and reviewing his interview notes one last time. This wasn't just any job, it was the job, the one that could finally give him and Emma the stability they deserved. By 8 a.m., he was driving through light rain, rehearsing answers in his head. Strengths, hard-working, weaknesses, impatient with incompetence, goals. Provide a better life for my daughter. That's when he saw her. A sleek black sedan sat on the shoulder, the driver's side front tire completely flat. A woman in sharp heels and a designer blazer stood beside it, phone pressed to her ear, her expression a mix of frustration and disbelief. Daniel slowed, glanced at the clock, and felt panic. He would be late, but then he heard Emma's voice in his head. "Do the right thing, Daddy." He pulled over. "Need some help?" he called out, hopping into the rain. The woman looked up, surprised. You're stopping in this weather?" "Most people just drive by." Daniel shrugged. "Not me. Besides, someone's gotta help." As he jacked up the car, loosened the bolts, and swapped in the spare, the woman watched silently. Rain soaked his shirt, mud covered his hands, but Daniel barely noticed. "You're really doing this?" she asked, finally. "Yup," he said with a grin. "Someone's got to make the world a little less miserable." By the time he finished, the car was ready to go. He handed her the wheel and wiped his hands. "Thank you," she said, handing him her card. "If there's ever anything I can do," Daniel waved it off. "Just drive safe. That's thanks enough." He sped off toward the headquarters, only to arrive 20 minutes late. The receptionist shook her head. "I'm sorry, sir. Interviews are over." Daniel felt the weight of failure settle on his shoulders. He drove home in silence, guilt gnawing at him. That evening, as he helped Emma with her homework, he tried to hide his disappointment. "Well, maybe it wasn't meant to be," he said softly. Emma frowned. "Daddy, you helped someone. That's not failure. That's heroic." He smiled weakly. "Thanks, kiddo." The next morning, the phone rang. "Mr. Carter. This is Catherine Hayes, CEO of Evergreen Industries. I'd like to meet you personally." Daniel blinked. The voice sounded familiar. He arrived at the office and was led into a spacious sunlit office. Behind the desk sat the same woman he had helped, the one with the flat tire. "You," Daniel said in disbelief. "I remember you," Catherine said, smiling warmly. "Yesterday, you missed your interview to help a stranger. That told me more about your character than any resume could. I want people like you on my team." Daniel shook her hand, stunned. I don't even know what to say." "Say you'll start Monday," Catherine said with a wink. A new chapter begins. Daniel's life changed quickly. At work, he impressed not just Catherine, but the whole team. He approached every task with honesty, integrity, and a quiet determination. But it wasn't just about work. Emma had taken a liking to Catherine too. She would visit the office occasionally, and Catherine would tell her stories about her own childhood, teaching Emma lessons about courage, kindness, and persistence. One rainy afternoon, Daniel found himself in the office again. Catherine looked up from her laptop. "You know," she said, "you didn't have to stop for me. You could have taken the easy path." Daniel smiled. "Easy isn't really my style. Besides, someone had to set an example for my daughter." Catherine leaned back, studying him. "You're a good man, Daniel. I hope you know that." "I hope my daughter knows too," he said. For the first time in years, Daniel felt like he wasn't just surviving. He was thriving. He had done it not through luck, but through kindness. And sometimes, just sometimes, doing the right thing pays off in ways you could never imagine.